श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ क्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे विपुरोगिणां निधे सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुरु वेदव्यासं स्वात्मारूपं सत्यसन्धं परायणं शान्तं जितेन्द्रियक्रोधं सदेशं प्रणमाम्यहम्। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। नारायणपरो व्यक्तादण्डमव्यक्तसम्भवं मण्डस्यान्तस्तु मे लोकाः सप्तद्वीपा च मेदिनी। वार्ताय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणे स्वयं व्यासेन कृतिनां पुराणमृतनामध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीमष्टादशाध्यायिनीं बत्वा मनसन्ततोऽहं भगवद्गीते वेद्वेषिणीं श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं गरुडालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् अवतीर्णश्च कालट्यागीतानि प्रदश्यति पीठप्रतिष्ठादयेताश्चङ्करो गुरुः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो। So previously we were looking at the 31st shloka where Bhagavan says Yajna-Sishtamrita Bhujo Yanti Brahma Sanatram Nayam Loko Lokostejnasya Uto Anya Kurusattama. So those who partake the nectar left over after the sacrifice. So sacrifice here is looking at all the sacrifices we looked at previously, right? So 12 or 13 different types of sacrifice starting from 24th shloka where Brahmarpanam Brahma from that shloka where we started. So from whatever left over after that, say for example, one performs the homa, okay, so performing homa after offering to devatas or doing dravya yajna or tapo yajna or any kind of those yajnas. Okay, so one constructs a temple and after constructing whatever left out, if he eats that, if he uses for his own consumption, things like that. So here, whatever who partakes after the sacrifice, they reach the eternal Brahman. This world ceases to exist for the one who does not perform the sacrifice. So that means, and what to speak of the other world, O best of the Kurus, Arjuna. So that's the meaning. Now, if you look at the Bhashya for this shloka, Yajna-Shishtamrita Bhujo Yanti Brahma Sanatam, the first half of the shloka, Yajna-Shishtamrita Bhuja. So Yajnanam Shishtam, Yajna-Shishtam cha tat amrutam cha Yajna-Shishtamritam tat bhunjate iti Yajna-Shishtamrita Bhuja. So that's how the Shankara Bhagavad explains. So that means those who partake the nectar left over after the sacrifice, that is those who after performing the sacrifices described previously in the previous 7-8 shlokas, who partake, those who eat during the leisure after those sacrifices, the food is called the Amrita and as prescribed by the Shāstras. So again, if you remember, for example, in Mahabharata Vanaparva, when Pandavas go to forest, Draupadi is to take food after serving everybody. And at that time, the Brahmana says that, Dhaumya says that, whatever you eat after that, serving everybody is Amrita, right? That is equal to Vigasa. It is known as Vigasa, the food that left over. Similarly here again it is sacrifice as we looked at previous 8 shlokas, 7-8 shlokas, it is not just sacrifice here means offering something in the Agni. It is could be anything. Somebody could be digging a well for the public use, or somebody could be constructing a temple or planting a tree or anything, right? So all those things, or performing a Chandrayana or Kricha or any penance like that. So any of those sacrifices could be any of that. So performing that and after that whatever one eats, that means takes for themselves, that's whatever they take is considered as a Amrita here. So they eating that, they reach Sanatana Brahman. So eternal Brahman, they reach. Again, for the sake of consistency with the Upanishads, here it is to be understood that if they, that is the sacrificers, the seekers of, are they are if they are the seekers of the moksha, they reach that Brahman in the due course of time. Again, due course of time means how they reach. This is again those who are performing this karma karmas. By performing these karmas, how they reach that Brahman, how they attain moksha. We will look at that later in the Shastras, because there is different ways of one attaining moksha. So one Jivan Mukta, so one attains the moksha while living here itself by performing those nishkama karmas and attaining that jnana realization. Another one is performing the karma karmas, even though it is karma karma, it is all the good conduct, performing them, they attain Brahma Loka, and at the end of Brahma's lifespan, they attain moksha along with Brahma. So, like this, there are different ways one could attain the moksha. So, here, as what Acharya says, this in due course of time they attain. So, Upanishads describe different stages through which those who do good deeds and practice meditation and so on have to pass before reaching the moksha stage after the death from this body, because moksha, there is need also of purification of the heart, and that's why they reach the Brahman, that moksha stage, by stages and not immediately after the death. So this is said in, for example, in Chandogya, Brahma Sutras, and so on. It's said many places. So those again will come later when Bhagavan explains of different paths to attain him. We will look at that in detail later, but for now, just that's enough. So where they will reach that Sanatana Brahma through in due course of time. So once again, so those who eat the food that is meant for the that is meant by the word here again, Amrita, during the period after. So after again, Yajna Shishta. Shishta means after. Okay, what is left over. Okay, so what is left after the performance of the sacrifices, yajnas, all of them reach this eternal Brahma, Sanatana Brahma. They reach through the process of purification of mind and attainment of jnana. That is, they attain this moksha from this samsara. So Manusmriti also says that Yajna-Shesha Amritam. So he says that Yajna-Shesha is Amrita. So Manu says that, and the other word here is we see Sanatana Brahma, Sanatanam Brahma. So what is Sanatana? Sanatana is described as Sarvakale Sanat Prokta Vidyamana Tanaspritaha. So that means Sana means Sarvakalika. So it is always existing, eternal. And Tana means Tanu Vistare, so it is Vyapaka, it exists. Okay. So that means Sanatana means always existing. So that's what meant here. Sanatana means always existing. That's why we call it Dharma, Sanatana Dharma. It is always, there is no time where it did not exist, the Dharma, or will be no time where it will not exist. So that's why it is known as Sanatana, Sarvakalika. So having said that, the excellent positive side of this performing these sacrifices, again, the sacrifices mentioned in all the previous shlokas, having mentioned all that, Bhagavan now in the next half of the shloka, he says the faults on the negative side. So if one does not perform these things, what happens? He says, Nayam loko aste yajnasya kuto anya kurusattama. So he says that even I am loka, in this loka, in this world, which is common to all the beings, cease to exist for the one who does not perform sacrifices, for him who does not have to his credit even a single one of the above sacrifices. So if one does not perform any of the sacrifices that mentioned up to now, then this world cease to exist for him. So that doesn't mean that everybody detaches from him, everything gets detached from him, but means his existence is worthless. Okay, his existence, if one does not perform any of those sacrifices, his existence is worthless. And if such a person whose existence is worthless here itself, what to speak of the other world? What happens to him after his death? What to speak of that? O Arjuna, Kurusattama, the best among the Kurus, he says. The one who does not possess even a single one among these sacrifices. So, ayajna means here again, ayajna means the one who does not perform any of those sacrifices. For him, even this human world, having little joy here, that does not exist because he's being condemnable by all. His being itself, his living is censurable by everybody. How can there be other world that is achievable through special disciplines for him? That's what Bhagavan says. And then the Arjuna might come here, a question might come to Arjuna's mind. He says that, is this being said thus simply, merely through your imagination? Are you saying all this through your imagination? Bhagavan says, no, because Vedas itself is the proof for this. So he says that in the next shloka, in the 32nd shloka, where he says, Evam Bahuvida Yajna Vitata Brahmano Mukhe Karmajnani Jnan Karmajan Vidhi Tan Sarvan Neva Jnata Vimokshase. Evam Bahuvida Jnata Vitata Brahmano Mukhe Karmajan Vidhi Tan Sarvan Evam Jnatva Vimokshase. So, thus, various kinds of the sacrifices lie spread at the mouth of the Vedas. Know them all to be born of karma. Knowing this, you will become liberated. You will attain the moksha. So, evam means thus. Bahuvida means various kinds of. Yajna means sacrifices. Vitata means have been described. Brahmana means of the Vedas. Mukhe means through the mouth. Karmajan means originating from the karmas. Vidhi means know. Tan means them. Sarvan is all. Evam means thus. Jnatva means having known. Vimokshase means you become liberated. So, Bhagavan starts evam, thus, various kinds of sacrifices described. They lie spread, so that means at the mouth, at the door of the Vedas. Vedasya mukhe dvare. So that is Brahmanaha. Acharya here explains Brahmanaha, the word Brahmanaha. He explains Vedasya dvare, mukhe dvare. So that is at the door of that Veda. So Brahmana, he says that at the Vedas, the door of the Vedas. So those which are known through the Vedas, for instance, Aitreya Aranyaka says that we offer vital the prana into speech and so on. It says that. So there, vitataha, spread is elaborated, mukhe at the mouth of Vedas. So like this it is explained, and those yajnas have been described in these Vedas. Know them all to be born of karmas, accomplished through the activities of the body, speech and mind. Tan sarvan anatma jan. So not born of the Atma itself. So they are not born of the Atma, he says. Acharya explains. Because nirvyaparo hi Atma. Atma is actionless. So when here he says that know that these are all sacrifices said at the mouth of the Vedas, and know that they are all in the Vedas, that doesn't mean that they are all born of the Atma itself. So he says, Acharya explains that they are, because Atma is actionless, these are all for the body, mind, and speech. Hence, evam jnatva vimokshate ashubhat. So, by knowing this, you will become liberated from the evil. By knowing this, these are not my actions, I am actionless and detached. By knowing that, you will become freed from the samsara, worldly bondage. As the result of this enlightenment, you will become free from this worldly attachment. So that's the meaning here. So once again, various kinds of sacrifices mentioned previously are the means of attaining all the basic auspicious goals. They lie spread at the mouth of the Vedas. That is, they are known only through the Vedas, but the Vedic sentences are not quoted individually. Sacrifices, they do not quote this sacrifice individually because of for the fear of worldliness. They do not quote them, but know them all all to be born of the karmas, as born of physical, oral, or mental actions, not born of the Atma. And because Atma is actionless, these sacrifices are not its functions, but I am actionless, I am unconcerned. Knowing that, if you know that these karmas are not born of the Atma, and I am actionless, these are not my functions, I am actionless, I am unconcerned. Knowing all this, then you will become liberated from this samsara. So that's the meaning here. Now, through these verses beginning from Brahmarpanam Brahmavir in the 24th shloka, the complete illumination, Samyak Darshana, that has been represented as a sacrifice. Everything has been presented here as a sacrifice, and the sacrifices of various kinds have been taught here. So from 24th shloka onwards in this adhyaya. So we looked at 24th shloka, Brahma Padam Brahma Ve Brahma Agno Brahmana Avatam Brahma Eva Tena Gandavyam Brahma Karma Smadhana. There, the karmas, the sacrifice is looked at as everything is looked at as a Brahman, Brahma Drishti. And then 25th shloka, we looked at दैवमेवापरे यज्ञं योगिनः पर्युपासते ब्रह्माज्ञावपरे यज्ञं यज्ञेनैव उपयुक्ते. So there Daiva looked at as a sacrifice with devatas in the view, and then Brahma as the view we looked at, and then Shrotraatindriyan Anye Samyamagnishu Juhati Shabdadin Vishayananya Indriyagnishu Juhati. So where all the objects of senses that were offered burnt in the Indriyagni, and then Vishayas themselves were burnt in the Indriyas, like this they offered the 26th shloka. And then 27th we looked at Sarvani Indriya Karmani Prana Karmani Chapare Atma Samyama Yogagno Jupati Jnana Dipide. So Atma Samyama we looked at there. And then controlling all the senses and things like that. And then we'll look at 28th shloka, 6 different types of yajnas, dravya yajnas, tapo yajna, yoga yajnas, tadapare, swadhyaya, jnana-yajnascha, swadhyaya, jnana-yajnascha, yataya, sanshita-vrata. So we looked at dravya, tapa, yoga, swadhyaya, jnana, these yajnas we looked at in that. And then we looked at pranayama, anna, ahara, all this in the 29th and 30th shloka. Apane jipvati pranam prane apanam tapare pranaya panagati ruddhva pranayama parayanaha apare nihatahara pranan praneshu jipvati. So like this we looked at various types of sacrifices have been told now. So since from placing all these sacrifices on the same footing, because Bhagavan talks about all these same sacrifices, and then he says that these have all been told by the Vedas Mukha, and knowing all this, that you are not the doer, the Atma is not the doer, and you are actionless, knowing all that you become attains moksha. That's what if he is saying that, then all these sacrifices became, yajnas became same, equivalent to one another, right? So Sarva tan sarvan evam jnatva vimokshase. So here in the second half of shloka, you will be freed from the worldly bondage as a result of full enlightenment. So when Bhagavan says that, there arises a possibility of the action and knowledge becoming equal, the karma and jnana becoming equal, because all these sacrifices mentioned here are karmas, right? Whether it is dravya yajna or daiva yajna or brahma yajna or atma samyama or pranayama or anything like that, all those are karmas. So if all those are equal to jnana, so there may be possibility that one might think that karma and jnana are equal. That's why Bhagavan explains in that next shloka. So, as compared to all these sacrifices that are meant for accomplishing the desired human ends, jnana, considered as a sacrifice, as a yajna, being commended, being celebrated, being praised. How that is celebrated, Bhagavan explains in the next shloka. Sreyan dravyamaya yajnat Jnana-Yajnat parantapa sarvam karma akilam bhata jnane parisamapyate. So this is one of the famous shlokas. So, O destroyer of the enemies, parantapa, knowledge considered as a sacrifice is greater than the sacrifices requiring material. O Arjuna, O son of Pritha, all the actions in their totality culminate in knowledge, in jnana. So, meaning here is word by Paripadartha is Shreyan means superior, Dravyamayat means of the material possession, Yajnat means than the sacrifices, Jnana-Yajna means sacrifice performed in Jnana, Parantapa is the one destroyer of the enemies or control of the enemies, or that is addressing Arjuna. Sarvan means all, Karma means work, action, Akilam means all. Partha is again addressing Arjuna, son of Pritha, that is Kunti, and then Jnane means in knowledge, Parisamapyate means culminate. So here, Acharya in his Bhashya, he explains this, that, O destroyer of the enemies, knowledge is considered as a sacrifice, is greater than the sacrifices requiring material, that is, including the study of Vedas. So, Vedas study, you might say that there is no material required. So, that means Swadhyaya, which was mentioned previously, right? Study of the Shāstras and Vedas and understanding of learning more and deep into that. So, those things, we might say that there is no material required, but even including that, it is the Jnana-Yajna is superior, because a sacrifice performed with the material is an originator of the results. So worldly prosperity, attaining heaven and so on, Swarga and things like that, will result from those sacrifices which is performed by using the materials. But knowledge, jnana, considered as a sacrifice, is not a productive of results. It only reveals the state of moksha that is achieved, that is an achieved fact. And moksha consists of removal of the ignorance by illumination. And nothing new is produced thereby. So there is nothing new produced. It just removes that avidya, ignorance. And that's why jnana is considered as a supreme sacrifice. That's why it is greater and more praiseworthy. So, O Parantapa, on account of having moksha as its result, because moksha is the ultimate result of jnana, moksha is the outcome of the jnana, jnana-yajna. Knowledge is considered, jnana is considered as a sacrifice by itself greater, more commendable than the sacrifices requiring material, than even all the sacrifices suggested by it. So, which are devoid of knowledge, which are devoid of jnana, having, because they all have samsara as its results. But Jnana-Yajna does not have that because it removes that avidya. How it removes? Why it is like that? Why it is superior? Because sarvam karma kilam partha jnane parisamapyati. He says that sarvam, all karma kilam, all actions in their totality, without exception. O Arjuna, they culminate, get merged, attain in consummation in the jnana, which is means of moksha, that is comparable to the shloka we looked at in the second chapter, Yavanarthodabhane Sarvata Sampludodake. So, where there is a flood all around, like that. So, here everything becomes merged in that jnana, and it becomes, it is the means to moksha. So, that's why it is in totality, all the karmas become culminate in this jnana. So the idea is that, which again it says according to Upanishad text, Chandogya, for example, says, starts Upanishad text, states and saying Yatha kritaya vita yadhareyaha samyam tevamevam sarvam tadabhi sameti yat kinchit rajaha sadhu kurvanti yastadveya yasavedaha. As when the face of the die is bearing number 4, so again in the older days, dice were playing, each face used to have a name. Okay, number 4 called Krita. When that is comes, wins, all the other numbers get included in that. Okay, so whatever the actions that's performed by the beings, all get merged in those. So it happens to anyone who has this right, who knows this. So that's what Chandogya says. So effectively it's saying that whatever that karma is performed get being merged into this, and just like if you have, for example, $100, you have $20, you have $10. Okay, so just like that, all the karmas merge into that. So just like that, here all the karmas merge into this knowledge. So because all the actions in their totality, without exception, consisting in the performance of the sacrifices and collection of the animals, the soma, as sanctioned by Vedas, as also the upasana, meditation, and so on, all those sanctioned by the Smritis, they all culminate in the jnana, in realization of the identity of the Brahman and the Atma through the process of elimination of obstacles, because that's what's said in the Shrutis. So, for example, also Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Tametam Vedanu Vachanena Brahmana Vidivishyanti Yajnena Danena Tapasa Nashakena. So, Brahmanas seek to know it. It here is the Tattva, so Tat, so that is Brahman. Through the study of Veda, sacrifices, charity, austerity, consisting of this passionate enjoyment of sense or objects. So Brahmanas seek to know that Brahman through various means. That is the study of Veda, sacrifices, charities, austerities, and various other things. But their objective is to know that through all these karmas. So it all culminates in that jnana. And Mahanarayana Upanishad as well says one removes the sin through dharma. So papa umuchyate, so it says in Narayana Upanishad. So that means from papa umuchyate. So it means all the sins are removed through that. And also the statement that we see in Brahma Sutra, for example, where it says as sarvapeksha cha yajnadi shrutir ashvavat. So on the strength of the Upanishad sanction of a sacrifice and so on, all the religious activities as well as necessary. The same in the case of a horse. So this is the same in the case of a horse. So the Brahma Sutra says, Sarvapeksha cha yajnati shrutir ashvavat. So this is same as in the case of horse. So Acharya Shankara in that Bhagavad explains in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya, he says that as from the standpoint of propriety, a horse is not employed for drawing the plow, but a chariot. Similarly, the duties of the different ashramas of life are necessary not for the fruition of the result of the knowledge, but the emergence of the knowledge itself. So the duties are necessary for emergence of knowledge. So the karmas are necessary for the emergence of the knowledge, but because all those karmas culminate in the jnana itself. That's the meaning. Now, in that case, by what means is this highly estimable knowledge is acquired? So you might wonder. So we said that perform all these karmas, okay, these yajnas, and through that you will get moksha. Then Bhagavan says that the knowledge is the superior one, Jnana-Yajna is the superior one because that is the one that's giving moksha. Okay, and now how to attain that knowledge, and for such acquisition of such knowledge, what is the most proximate means? So that Bhagavan explains in the next shloka, in the 34th shloka, where he says, Tadviddi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanena sattvadarshinaha. Where he says, know that through prostration, inquiry, service, the wise one who have realized the truth will impart you the knowledge to you. So tat means the truth, vidhi means to learn, try to learn, pranipatena means by approaching that guru, pariprashnena, again by approaching means doing prostration to namaskara, praniprashnena means by humble inquiry, sevaya means by rendering service, upadekshanti means can impart, te means unto you, jnanam means knowledge, jnaninaha means the enlightened, sattvadarshina means those who have realized the truth. That is, the truth here is talking about that Brahman. So, Bhagavan says here, vidhi, one says, know that the process by which it is acquired. It here means again the jnana or the Brahman. How it is acquired is acharyan abhigamya. So, by approaching the teachers, and pranipatena, through prostration. Prakarshan pranipatena, Acharya explains here in his Bhashya that prakarshena nichai, prakarshena nichai patanam pranipata dirgha namaskara tena. So by lying fully stretched on the ground with face downwards with prolonged salutation. So that is pranipatan, by prostration, by namaskara, by dirghadanda namaskara, by doing that to the acharya, by approaching that teacher, by guru, approaching that guru, one should do dirghadanda namaskara, and pariprashnena, through inquiry. So by asking questions, okay, what type of question? Katam bandha, katam moksha, ka vidya, ka cha vidya, iti pariprashnena. So as to how the bondage comes, how moksha comes, what are the knowledge, what is avidya, what is ignorance. So like this questioning that guru. And sevaya here to guru shushrushaya. So by the service of the guru, serving the guru. So by doing all this, one can attain that jnana. That jnana one can attain. So again, by approaching the guru, acquire that knowledge, that Brahman, as a result of all the actions, through the prostration to them. By prostration, by means falling down completely, saluting by stretching oneself fully to the ground. Through that, and through searching for the questions covering various subjects, such as who am I, how I am under this bondage, by what means shall I get freed, and like this, all these questions one should ask, and through the service, actions in various way according to the likings, one should do those services to that guru. And know it through these and other disciplines, again, such as through control of mind, body, and so on, controlling all those, through all those means, you should know this, being pleased with humility, the wise ones, that is the teachers, the jnaninaha, the teachers, the gurus, tattvadarshina, who have realized the truth, who have realized the tattva, tat, who have realized that parama atma tattva, they will impart, they will tell, upadekshanti, they will impart, they will tell you jnanam, the knowledge as described previously. They will describe that jnana, which removes this avidya, they will describe you that. So when pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya, when you approach that guru and ask, and by following the other disciplines like controlling the mind, body, and things like that, becoming favorably disposed through excellence in humility, accompanied by abundance of devotion and faith, when you approach that guru, the wise ones, the gurus who are well acquainted with the words, sentences, valid means of knowledge, such as reasoning, who have realized that truth, that Paramatma, who have got direct enlightenment, they will impart to you, will make you attain through instruction the jnanam, knowledge regarding the Paramatma, the Supreme Self, which has the moksha as its direct result. They will impart to you. So here, one thing to note here is Bhagavan says here, Tattvadarshinaha. So it is not just Jnaninaha. Okay. So Jnaninaha, Tattvadarshinaha. So Jnaninaha means wise ones. Okay. Those who have studied and things like that. But then there is another one, he says Tattvadarshinaha. Although people maybe, Acharya explains this in his Bhashya, he says that although people may be wise, some of them are apt to know the truth just as it is, while others may not be so. So, hence the qualification here, Tattvadarshina, who have realized the truth. The considered view of the Bhagavan here is that ye samyak darshana taihi upadishtam jnanam karyakshamam bhavati netarat iti bhagavato matam. So Acharya explains that knowledge imparted by those who have full enlightenment become effective, not others. So bhavati netarat. So he says that not by others. So this Atma Jnana imparted by only those who have realized becomes effective, not by the others. So this is important here, and it is going to take some time. The reason here is we all listen to Vedanta classes, right? So all listen to Vedantas, okay, how to attain this Brahmajnana. And Bhagavad Gita listens, or those who are listening to Bhagavad Gita as well, the attained reason is for attaining this Brahmajnana. Now, everybody teaching, including myself, is not Tattvadarshina. Now, Bhagavad Pada here in his Bhashya says that knowledge imparted by those who have full enlightenment becomes effective, not by the others. So, does that mean, is it waste to listen to all these Vedantas classes, go to Vedanta classes, Vedanta retreats, Vedanta sessions, and all those things? Because if somebody is imparting in public to large masses and various means to achieve many people, then it means more or less they are not teaching it on one-on-one basis, because the shishyas are not selected and things like that. So then it is not kind of that enlightenment status. That effectiveness will not be there. Then what is the point of attending these Vedanta classes and things like that? Those questions will come here based on what Bhagavad Pada says here, right? Knowledge imparted by those who have full enlightenment becomes effective. So not by the others. Bhagavad Pada clearly says not by the others. So that means those who are not Tattvadarshina, if they are imparting the knowledge saying that this is Brahman, this is how to attain it, this jnana, that will not become effective. So how to solve this Vedanta class question, we'll look at that next time.